So this video is on the assumptions that people make. Now this one in specific is on that last phone call that I had with Shannon. First of all, one of the issues that I have is in communication. Now when there's multiple people with the same name, it's very difficult, especially when I'm talking about both of them, for me to say it right. Like when I'm talking about Mandy Singer, I said Mandy Hughes instead. It wasn't Mandy Hughes' son who moved to Pueblo. It was Mandy Singer's son who had moved to Pueblo. He was one of the missing people the day that Rose got onto those 3 missing people posts and was calling me a stalker. It's difficult for me, especially like when it comes to Amandas, because there's like 6 or 7 different Amandas who have been involved. There's a lot of people with the last name Johnson. And quite a few people named Kara or Kara. And it just gets so complicated. That's why it needs to all be written down. But there's also that there's so much of it. And that's part of the reason it's so complicated and it all needs to be written down. But then there's the part where I'm letting her know that there's an FBI office here. And she automatically jumps to assuming that I'm going to commit a crime. And I'm trying to explain to her, I'm trying to force the cops and the FBI to take a look at the evidence. But she's already jumped to conclusions and she's already talking 10 million miles a minute, which is complicated for me. Because I have to get her to be quiet. I have to get her to calm down and shut up with her fucking assumptions. And I'm not trying to be a dick by saying this either. But then it just comes across as me being a dick because I am so incredibly fucking frustrated with everybody's assumptions. Like, instead of making assumptions mid-sentence, shut up and listen to understand. I have been trying for over 2 years to get the cops to take a look at this shit. You know? And everybody does the same thing that Shannon does. It's not just Shannon. People just assume they know what I'm going to say. And they do it repeatedly. Derek Parrish did this. So did his girlfriend, Joanna Taylor. So did his mom, who passed away a couple months ago. Same thing with my dad. Same thing with nearly everybody. They want to finish my sentence, but they're going in the wrong direction. They don't know what the hell I'm going to say. They've just assumed, based on their knowledge of what's going on, which is practically nothing because they don't listen worth a shit because they're too busy with their assumptions. And it's difficult for me because when I speak on these videos, a lot of times I get frustrated. And then people get extremely angry. Fuck you, Sean, you're a piece of shit. You're a this and you're a that. Like, guys, listen to the story. You know? I'm not trying to be an asshole to any of these people. I'm fucking frustrated as all hell. Now that right there, I'm not allowed to be frustrated. I'm not allowed to be angry at the people threatening me. I'm not allowed to be angry that the cops won't take my report. I'm not allowed to react at all. And then there's situations like with Shannon's boyfriend, Rick. I understand his frustration. You know, I mean, it's the same thing that I've been going through, except for the fact that no one's going to harm him over it. Nobody's going to physically assault him over it. He's not going to lose his son over it. He's not going to be prevented from seeing any of his friends or any of his family. You know? And for him, shit, at least I told the truth. At least that part where I recorded it, at least that's the truth. I didn't cut that call off, you know, and I didn't edit that call. I didn't any of that kind of crap. It was the raw truth. And the fact is, I like Rick. I really do. With Shannon, it wasn't her daughter's noises that were bothering me. That's something that I've said from the beginning, you know? Even with the earphones in, I can hear the screaming. And it'll be 2 o'clock in the morning and I can hear the screaming. And her daughter's already in bed by that point, you know? They have blackout. That's where they turn off all the lights and her daughter goes back in the room. Her daughter's not a bad person. She's autistic. But not autistic like me. She's one of those people who's autistic like, well, she bites and scratches and hits and pulls hair, and it's difficult to deal with, and I understand the frustration. I also understand the environmental issues, because I have the same environmental issues that she does. It's a common denominator. Her daughter's not a bad person. Her daughter gets frustrated and overwhelmed. And I understand that. I don't get angry with her daughter. I understand her daughter's frustration. Matter of fact, I understand Rick's frustration, and I understand Shannon's frustration. Shannon understands my frustration. Rick understands my frustration from a first-hand experience now. But that first-hand experience isn't 1/1000th of what I've dealt with, and you see how irrational he got over it. Now, he was typing on that YouTube thing that he was just wanting to talk, and that he was willing to listen. And, well, he wasn't willing to listen, was he? And he wasn't willing to be an adult about it. He just wanted to be a condescending asshole. But I'm not allowed to be a condescending asshole, am I? I'm not allowed to be frustrated about having my name thrown out there like that, am I? And there are multiple YouTube videos with me where people took the parts where they thought they could twist it to make it seem like I'm some sort of a terrible person, and they cut out the whole rest of the video. The whole rest of the video, there's a moral to the story. But you miss the moral when you're cutting out the parts that you want. This happens a lot with the Bible, where there's a moral to the story, a moral of decency, but people cut it out and find this one little part that they can twist to make it okay to be hateful, to be okay to be spiteful, where it's okay for them to do it, but it's not okay for someone else. It's okay for me because I'm a Christian, but it's not okay for you because you're a Muslim. And I've had a lot of very hateful Christians come at me. And people say, Sean, why are you so hateful? I hate how I get treated. I hate the fact that I am in these conditions. I hate the fact that I had to break the law. I hate the fact that with all the threats against my life, nobody did a goddamn thing. With all of the assaults, nobody did a goddamn thing. No, I have no fucking respect for most of these people. Because they're not able to make the connection between the little tiny bit that they're going through and the massive quantity of that I'm going through. They're pissed off about the same thing, but they're not going through nearly as much of it. And they're allowed. You make excuses why it's okay for them and it's not okay for me.